You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. I am your host, Brandy Williams. I'm talking fast because I ain't going to be before y'all that long today. Tomorrow's my baby girl's birthday. Even though she's my oldest, she's still going to be my baby girl. And I told her I wasn't doing a podcast today. And she said, okay. And I said, you don't believe me? But here I am doing the episode. How y'all doing today? Welcome to the week of A Sacred Pause. We are in retrograde energy, full effect. We have Saturn retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, and we're going to have Mercury retrograde on the 17th. So let's just get right into it. We had Saturn turn retrograde around July 12th, 13th, bringing us to a sacred pause in the Aries part of life. Now, Neptune was already in retrograde beginning July 4th. And what that meant to me is Neptune is our realm of dreams and the delusion and disillusionment of things. It refines things, makes things a little whimsical, but also a little uncertain. So when Neptune went retrograde in Aries, that to me signaled us coming to reality about something when it went retrograde. So there's something that we've started, something that we've began, some new situation, something that we've overcome in the Aries parts of life that was really exciting. We felt really proud. We were on fire, it felt promising, and something is kind of settling, and there is the seriousness about it, the thing we need to take care of coming into view. And that's where Saturn comes in, because Saturn came right behind Neptune and Aries and said, oh yeah, the dream is possible. There's so many things on the table for you. This thing is happening for you, this new life, this new pivot, but it's going to require discipline, dedication, structure. So we said, okay, bet we have to do that. But when Saturn is going retrograde, I feel like this is an opportunity that feels like a roadblock, that feels like you're trying to get somewhere and you just keep getting hit by red lights. But really what's happening is it is our opportunity to check in to see if we are doing something different or if we are doing too much of something that's just out of alignment. When Saturn went into Aries, the whole gist of the thing, it was that you were going to learn how to be a leader in a specific area of your life. You were going to learn how to be a leader with integrity and to be a responsible leader, because Aries is that sign of personal transformation and needing to start something and taking the lead on something and having the courage to forge ahead and stamp your name on something. When Saturn went into Aries, you were required to stop doing something, to place a boundary, set up stronger boundaries, to stop giving your power away. Or you were very bossy and always the one in charge and always handling things. It was your opportunity to step back and stop being so hyper independent and ask for help. Now that Saturn is retrograde, we are reflecting and reviewing if we're actually doing that. Are we acting like we're not that boss, that we're not him? Are you still allowing somebody else to come in on your thing and tell you what to do when you have the full authority and permission from the universe to take the lead on something? This is an opportunity to see what's happening with that and to plan and implement stronger boundaries, to say, actually, I want to speak on this, to advocate for yourself, speak up for something. And then some of us are in a situation where we are completely taking over. Are you taking over again? Are you doing that thing where you're not asking for help, where you're being hyper independent, where you are afraid to be vulnerable and letting somebody come alongside you and collaborate well? That's another aspect of this Saturn and Aries, how we want to build something that is going to be lasting, and we want to lead with integrity. We don't want to be a horrible boss or a mean person or hyper independent, because you were never meant to do anything by yourself. There is no empire that's just a one-man situation. There's going to be some type of support that we want to allow to come alongside us and help us. The school system, it might not be the support that you want, but you deserve help. That's another thing that Saturn says, like, hey, when we're building this thing, we're not going to be some type of king. And we're not going to be a person who's going to backseat our own thing. We're going to advocate for ourselves. We're going to have courage to stand up for something. We're going to place boundaries. We're not going to take on the whole show, and we are going to let people help us. So, that's what this retrograde is really about. And that could feel frustrating. We could feel blocked. We could feel like, dang, it seems like I take two steps forward and I'm being stopped by something, or this thing that I thought was gonna be amazing is starting to have real life, obstacles. And so we are in a sacred pause, which feels like a block, but it's really, when you look at it a certain way and you allow yourself to be with the ebb and flow of life, you're able to notice that the rocks are a part of the path. And that's what these retrogrades are about. They're offering us is a chance to stop, revise, and rethink something, to place boundaries and make sure our structure and foundation is right, and to make sure we're on the same page with our team, with the people that we're in partnership with, and that we are just in a new, strong, solid situation that also involves us, our own desires, doing something authentically that we want to do. That's another aspect of this Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. What's possible for you? Do you have a good structure and a plan? And are you doing something that you want to do? Because Aries is all about the I am, it's about the self. Also, this week, we'll have the sun in Cancer making a trine to the North Node. And that's just a gentle cosmic reminder to let you know that even though things feel blocked or there's, some stumbles along the way, you're on the right path. Things are working out. The rocks are a part of the journey. You just keep going and keep having faith. And even though you can't see something and you feel like something's messing up, it doesn't mean it's time to stop. It just means it's time to slow down, pause, observe, and take in some more information on what needs to be revised or reworked. And then July 17th, we have Mercury stationing retrograde in the sign of Leo. So we're in these fire sign retrogrades. And the last time that Mercury was retrograde in Leo for an extensive amount of time, it was retrograde last summer, late July, early August for a bit, but it was solidly retrograde July 2018. Anytime that retrogrades happen in the fire signs, it's our time to think about how we can still feel inspired and play even when things aren't working out in the ways that we actually want them to work out. I like how this kind of meshes well with the Saturn retrograde. In the midst of things being blocked, stopped, paused, or, reevaluated, can we play with some energy? Can we play with different possibilities? See what works and have fun. And don't forget to play and open to your inner child, and don't take certain things so seriously. I like, don't take everything seriously, but can we not be so attached to everything being perfect? And this is a time where we're going to notice, are we in performative energy? Do we have our mask back on? Are we focusing on the results more than the process? Is our heart in it? Are we having fun? Are we on our aligned path and having fun, or are we doing something to get ratings and approval and results? Yeah, and so then we want to check ego. So this is another, I like how this pairs nicely with the Saturn retrograde. Are we not being courageous enough? Because that Leo energy is about courage and about leadership. Are you willing to take the lead and step out and show yourself and be flawed and make mistakes and say, okay, because I'm human, I make mistakes. I don't have to be perfect. Or are you being too egoic about something? Are you running over people and saying, I don't need this help? And is there some arrogance that needs to be addressed? Do we need to have a heart to heart with our ego? And we get to see when we pause what's not working, because when we're taking action all the time, we don't actually know how our results are landing because we're in action mode. But when you are in a sacred pause and your tech is messing up and you recorded something and there's no audio, you get to pause and reflect on what's not working, what veered off the path, what needs to be looked at, refined, replanned. We get to think about past experiences. How does this look like something I've already been through in the past? And do I like that? Do I want to be a part of something that happened in the past? Or was that a learning lesson for me to be like, I'm not doing that again? This feels like that, right? And those past experiences teach us and mold us and shape us for experiences in the present moment. So some of the things that we could run into is issues with transportation. Be careful about, traveling, because when you feel frustrated, you tend to make mistakes. And this is a very mistake prone energy with Mercury being in retrograde. So you want to watch out for accidents, miscommunication. You shouldn't really make large purchases in a Mercury retrograde unless it was already in motion. However, life happens and we can't just stop for the retrogrades, but look at your contracts and really look at the fine print, go over negotiations and make sure that you are on the same page, because mistakes and mishaps and miscommunication is likely to happen. People could be spinning the block, reuniting with past friends and relationships. And sometimes that happens because we see things differently. And sometimes this is a reminder of how we've evolved and what we don't want to do again, what we no longer want to be a part of. So we could expect things like that. But honestly, this is just your opportunity to see what needs to be reworked in, your projects or business deals or decisions, relationships, household, your health and wellness, the way you communicate, what needs to be revised. There could be reconciliations and second chances that happen. Maybe you could be meeting up with somebody, meeting up with an old friend, meeting up with old coworkers, bringing the old gang back together. Or if you have some type of group organization, maybe you're rethinking putting that thing back together, but this is not the time to take action. We're in a planning phase when Mercury is in retrograde. And then just quickly, July 18th, Mercury retrograde in Leo is actually hosting Uranus in Gemini right now, because Mercury rules the sign of Gemini. So Uranus is currently shaking up communication in the Gemini parts of life. So we get to look at what's happening in that Gemini part of life too. That's also a breadcrumb of things that are coming up for review and revision. Is Gemini your health and wellness, your home life, your identity and your body? So there are some little breadcrumbs of things that need to be reworked, that are being shaken up, that we need to be more adaptable, and open to different perspectives. And just what needs a revision. So this is a really wonderful, opportune time to slow down, full stop, pause, take something slow, journal, and just reflect on the things that are coming up and the things that are not working. And then July 18th, Mercury retrograde in Leo makes a sextile to Venus in Gemini. This is just a friendly reminder to check something twice. This could be a reconciliation. And this is just maybe circling back to a misunderstanding with someone you were in a relationship with, or a friend from the past, and perhaps there is a need to think about something that you said, something that they said, and just some open-minded communication, friendly, not too serious. We're just playing with the energy, and if our ego gets ruffled up, we want to be able to look at ourselves objectively and make mistakes. Mars is also going to be right next to the South Node. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's what makes you human. So we're walking away from perfectionistic thinking and perfectionism and self-criticism, and really beating down on ourselves, because notice that when we do that, we're probably beating on another person too, or something externally, or just looking at things in a real judgy type of way. So yeah, that's all I got this week, y'all. Heal so we don't become a hater. I think that's my motto for the week. I hope you have a good week. I hope you pause and rest and ground the energy and walk and lift some weights if you feel anxiety, and just let yourself rest. Let yourself be at the red light. So I will talk to you next Monday, and I hope you have a good restful week. Bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.